Very good. Welcome, Dave. Good to see you, sir. Corianne, hello. Alrighty. You guys can feel free to train how you please. We've got Q&A now, so you can observations. So you can train while we chat. Do your forms, do your punching, do whatever you want. While I'll take any, or you can share any observations you had, or I'll take any questions you have as well. Quick announcement for everyone. We are going to be closed over Easter, but those who are doing the 75 challenge, you'll get the points for those sessions on Monday and Friday. So you'll still get the points, so don't worry. Unmute, Dave. Thanks.
I had sort of a realization coming from my mother's. That's why I missed the meditation session.
No worries.
There's a thing that I've done for years that I learned a long time ago, and I mentioned it in the community as far as the unbendable arm and how a relaxed muscle is stronger than a tense muscle. And it's nothing more than a tonsile, say, on your right shoulder. And I just kind of stand there and you apply pressure at the elbow. And my visual on that's a railroad track. And I did it in the car, and just almost instantly, I felt that flow or that energy going in a direction with my arm going out. And that's exactly what you've been talking about. You know, been doing this for like 40 years, so it's actually second nature. I can just go, okay, try to bend it, you know, and I sink, and just, and the more pressure they put on it, the more I relax, and it's springy, and of course the tricep is engaged very, very little, but it's all flappy underneath. And that's something I used to do with like the teenage boys that, hey, you're an old man, stronger than you. So, and it finally dawned on me today that visual and even the sensing of that, not the sensation, but I actually sensed that going out my arm. So, muchas gracias.
Yeah, good memory there. I actually remember hearing of that exercise before I did Wing Chun myself. I read it in a book. I think it was, you guys heard of Dan Millman. He wrote The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. He wrote these other books which had like all these practical exercises, and he had that exercise in it where you put your hand on someone's shoulder like that, Dave, and you focus everything forward, and then they put force on, because you've got that intention through it. It stabilizes the arm, and you're not fighting against it. You're letting your structure take the pressure in. So yeah.
And it took me a long time to figure out kind of the sweet spot. And I was thinking about it today. 40 years ago, I remember the pineal gland being referred to as the sun point and the dantian, so the energy triangle. Here is kind of your peak. You can resist the most force with the least amount of effort. And just, you know, over the years, mine's about right there. And if I turn that over, that's that same little elbow angle. Because I used to test it with push-ups. Do push-ups with the blade of my hand and see where I started getting jiggly.
Yeah.
Just something from the past when you were a young man.
Yeah, it's that's another reason why we practice our looks out in that angle as well. Like we call it the optimum angle, because you have or the chi sao looks out, you have that, it's about the same as that position there. I think it's just around 45. It's slightly different for everyone depending on body type, but it's approximately around like a 90-degree angle, because you're structuring your muscle as the most balanced ratio of tension, so you can take in quite a lot of pressure. So we train from that point because it's the most robust and integrous that you can carry through forever, right? So as we get older, we can still have that same integrity, as opposed to fully closed or fully extended. So it's a good observation there, sir. Yeah, so something I've been big on lately with the guys here, and even for you guys as well, is tuning into the space. So the etheric body through sensing. You know, every atom is 99 point whatever 999% empty space, right? So, and that's, you know, everything's made up of atoms. So you want to sense into that space. Yeah, this, you don't have to believe me. You can look up science to see the structure of an atom. 99.999% is empty space. So
I just thought it was the space between the atoms was 99.999% space.
no, the actual atom.
And maybe also the atoms, because atoms have atoms within them or something.
Yeah.
But I think they're called like quarks or.
No, I remember
neutrons,
first.
electrons. Yeah, it's the energy structures within the atom. They all orbit each other like a mini solar system. Yeah, yeah. And each atom, you know, between the orbits, right? 99% space in this tiny little planet.
I remember. I remember first hearing about that from some scientist ages ago. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. That we're more space than we are matter. So within each atom, so to speak. And then I remember hearing Dr. Joe talk about it as well too. So anyway, I'm not a scientist, but anyway, the point is that we do have space and energy. And what am I getting at is that we just want to attune our focus with that non-physical sense of self, because it's the seduction of the physical that leads to the tension in our expression. I'm talking specifically for Wing Chun here. So I'm not even talking in terms of, okay, spiritual upliftment. I'm just saying if you want your Wing Chun to manifest the internal power, so allow the mind to direct the energy, we need to be attuned with the space and energy so that we can direct it through that space. If your focus is on the physical sensation versus the sense of space, then the best you'll get is a relaxed body. Meaning, you know, you can still get a level of power there, but it's usually a relaxed body with good structure. If you can make that shift to being more aligned with and aware of the sensing, the non-physical, that allows you to transfer intention, so that the Nim Tao, the intention, can direct the chi, the energy through your system to cultivate the internal power. So you want to play that, or play around with that in your own training, like observe sensation. Okay, that's sensation. What is sensing? Observe sensing within yourself. And start to, you know, shift your focus onto it, because once again, the physical sensations are very drawing of attention. You know, like they like if you put your focus on your feet, you can very easily have the sensation of your feet. But the question becomes is, can you sense the etheric body and its radiation, the aura, and go into that? That's the gateway. That's what allows you to move the energy through the system more powerfully. So yeah. Looks like Jason's getting a good feeling for it. Alrighty, any other Q's or O's, questions or observations?
I've been watching some of the Wing Chun videos and people doing Sun and Tao. And a lot of them, it doesn't look like to me that they're in state, because it looks like it's all physical, but I could be wrong.
No, you're right. Majority, I'd say 99.9. just like the atoms. No, most people don't know the state. Yeah.
It's very like.
Yeah.
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 And then I'm like, I have to discuss this with you, because I see the strength within you, but a lot of them are doing that.
Yeah. Well, it's the difference between force and power. So at best they're using good structural force. Just if you don't understand the state, or if you've never spent time to access it, or if you've never heard of it, you're just going to perform movements. Right? You're just going to perform movements.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why my master was named the King of Nim Tao, because he mastered the internal state, which he observed in Ip Man. He saw Ip Man was, you know, able to overpower the bigger, stronger opponents and practitioners. Sorry, it was like, so how are you doing this? And he said, I'm using Nimlik, or mind force. And further sparked his interest in how do I develop this, because Sigmund was actually quite weak as a child, as a younger man, sorry. So he needed to figure out this other kind of, there's a kind of a necessity there, right? To figure out how to not use force to overcome people. Yeah, and the thing is that it takes a certain type of person to be interested in cultivating that part of the training. You have to have you have to have an interest, you know, to further study and practice in that way.
Yeah, I saw your video with your master, and I read some of the comments. I was like, okay, I don't think you know what you're saying, but I'm going to have a chat with him about master being the king of what he's doing. And I saw what he was doing, and it was amazing. I was like, wow. And then I was watching other Wing Chun, and I was like, this is all physical, yeah. It's a lot of it. So, yeah. Did they lose the meditation, or did they? I'm sure.
Some people never had it. They were never interested. So let me put it another way. Ip Man taught students based on their capacity and interest. So he would teach my master about the mind power and the energy work because he was interested. He would teach others just about the techniques and the fighting because that's all they're interested in. So, you know, if you look at the expression of Wing Chun from, like, for me, the top three guys from Ip Man were Choi Shung Tin, my master, the master of the internals, Wong Shung Lung, he was known as like a master of Chi Sao, and Bruce Lee. He was more of a master of Wing Chun in evolutionary sense because he just continued to evolve it and evolve it and evolve it. Yeah. So for me, they're the top three guys, in my opinion. You know, some people are like, yeah, but what about, you know, Stevie Bobsonson or whoever? Like, people will argue that there are others, but to me, they're the top three dogs. Like, they were the guys who, and they all were very different. One was pure internal power. One was all about fighting and sticking hands. The other was more about the evolution of the art itself. Three very important parts of the art, in my opinion. They were kind of like the personifications of three arms of Wing Chun. You were thinking the same, Chase? I got a double thumbs up on that one. Should have got a triple thumbs up, bro.
That's the land, bro.
Sorry?
Yeah, put the names in the chat.
Oh, the names. We got a bit of yeah.
So then Red and I are going to check him out.
Yeah, sure. My master was Choi Shung Tin. He was the master of the internal. And you're attracted to the style that you align with. So you guys are obviously attracted to the internal style because that's what I teach. I teach the internal that goes from energy to mind to spiritual, right? So there's Choi Shung Tin as the first one. And then the next one was Wong Shung Lung. And he was known as the king of talking hands. That's what, I don't know who named him that, but that's what everyone calls him. But he loved fighting. He was known as a great fighter, right? So he'd just fight all the time. And then we all know good old Bruce Lee. Even though he didn't train with Ip Man as long, he obviously grasps a lot of its essence because Wing Chun is everlasting spring, right? The continual renewal and evolution and growth, which he really dived into. And you can see it filtered into a lot of his training. Like even Jeet Kune Do is translated to intercepting fist, which is a Wing Chun principle. To intercept the fist, yeah.
Why is Yip Chun so dogged? It seems like, you know, even though he was his son and he's like one of the biggest Wing Chun practitioners in the world, I'm just kind of curious because it kind of seems like he has the most like Jackie Chan famous celeb, but like in the end, when you really get down to it, like he kind of is.
Yeah, I think. Know. Yeah, like to put it very simply, he's got the name, but it doesn't mean he has the skill. Do you know what I mean? Like they're very different things, having the name and having the skill. So yeah, as you go into Wing Chun and you touch hands with people from different lineages, you'll know where the skill is, right? You feel it. So on the externals, when you look at it as someone who doesn't really do Wing Chun at the beginning, when you first come to it, you're not really sure who's who, right? But as you go deeper into it, you really learn who's skillful and who's not. almost the mind, body, and spirit of it.
Jeet Kune Do. I've been, we always watch the Ip Chun or Ip Man movies consistently, probably. Just put them on the background. I know I do.
Awesome. That's so good.
And based off of, I trained a lot in Jeet Kune Do. I learned some Wing Chun, but I've trained much more exclusively in Jeet Kune Do since I got my first black belt. And I was noticing in the movies, at least, there is a very much of like a Jeet Kune Do or even like a Tai Chi settling that happens when they're regrouping. Like he's, offset like this, and you see that the shoulders like actually shift to get back to the guard. So they like shift sideways, and it's the shift. It's like a rotating of center, but then there's like a shift there that like blocks out and like creates like the front center lock, almost like a bandha in yoga. They call them locks. Could you explain that ideal of why they would, it almost seems like they're even not rotating fully centrally because their head is always this way, and it could just be the movies.
I think you're right with that last comment. I think it just looks good, because it does, right? I'm ready. Because if you're in full combat, you probably wouldn't even, you just keep going. If you're thinking about pure essence of Wing Chun principles, it wouldn't be a very good movie. Because you just keep coming forward and crushing until they're finished. There wouldn't be a back and forth, pop, 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 pop kind of, interplay. So I think you're right with your last direction. It's more just for the movies. But then again, perhaps there are people who practice in a way and they use something like that. It feels nice.
But Tai Chi does it. But Tai Chi is so you miss them completely. So it's like that. And I noticed it most in Ip Man 4 when he's actually fighting the Tai Chi, teacher in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And he's like almost like copying him a little bit. But, it's Tai Chi is just like you end up putting it in and we just like move away, and then we like come back. And sometimes we're like, come back and then come back and then come back. Yeah. It's like 3 different versions of it. But yeah, I was just kind of curious. It must just be movie cinematic art.
Yeah.
And then my next question is on Hun Sao's. I've just been slowing down my Sun Tao and really getting into my Huns. And I'm noticing, I know that it's not a very popular strike, the wrist strike. But being someone that came from a karate lineage and did, 20,000, 30,000 wrist push-ups to create a striking force there, I notice that when I'm doing it, and I notice a lot of double hinging in the Wing Chun, practice, Chit Sao. It's like a double hinge. There's a hinge at the wrist, there's a hinge at the elbow, where the forearm kind of almost stays where it's supposed to go. And I'm noticing that in many different moves. I won't bring them all up. But I'm kind of wondering if in Hun Sao, you're here, and I'm noticing as I go back, there's almost an availability for a doubled hinge for almost like a wrist strike here before it turns into the punch.
Do you mean like this?
If you're like if the wrist, because my hand goes back pretty far because of all those push-ups. So I just noticed that sometimes, even if my arm is perfectly steady, my wrist still kind of accentuates farther forward, almost as if I can strike and then put my, say I was under their chin, I could strike it into the throat and then rise my hand up right into their, almost like a strike like that.
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
Well, with your uniqueness of bringing this further back than the normal range, you could utilize that. Generally speaking, it might be difficult for a person who can't get that far back. You know what I mean? Like if a person's got very inflexible wrists and they're like this, it's going to be difficult for them to hit with their wrist. But if in your particular case, why not? I mean, especially since you've got the conditioning for it. I've never personally used that, or I probably wouldn't. But if you've got the tool, well, of course, why not use it? So I think for you, yeah. But for me, probably not. My wrists don't go that far, and I just don't feel that I would. It doesn't feel right for me. But if it feels right for you, there's nothing wrong with that, because it's just about moving powerfully. And because you've got pretty good precision, I think it could be quite a useful weapon. If your hand's right there and it's in that position and you could just go straight forward, why not? Why not? It's I wouldn't
even have to. Literally just all I have to do is move my hand forward a little bit. It's almost like a brace or a block rather than, you know, a striking force. I could strike and then use it as like a wrap around, you know, wrap around that way, or, you know, Hun Sao and wrap around like the normal Wing Chun. But yeah, to at least like post up. But I can see the ideal of like then creating the fist and like literally wham, and then like shoving that into their chest, almost like creating that space, that 1 inch that Bruce Lee or whoever, you know, Yip Man would create, that 1 inch punch. It's like you can almost create the space and then wham, you know, draw back, just, you know, rise up and sink, and then I don't know.
No,
Anyway,
there's
fun
definitely
stuff.
there's definitely lots to play with. Kung Fu talk, man. There's definitely lots to play with. That's for sure. Very good.
Sifu, can you just, I've forgotten the one that you did earlier today, where you had your hand in the middle there on the power plane, and then you were, that was staying with the power plane, but the body was moving? Do you remember?
Today? Oh, you mean, oh, okay, last night you're talking about? Yeah. When we're
I
doing,
remember.
you mean the last session? The last
Yes.
session? Yeah. So basically, yeah, that's right. So I was talking about the difference of focus between like a general chum cue pivot. So the first one you do and you turn from left to right, versus like a muk jong pivot. Whereas the difference is essentially is with where the power plane focuses to. Because in chum cue, when you turn, you're practicing turning the Siu Lim Tao completely from fully left to fully right. So your focus is like this. But then when you practice muk jong, so imagine the muk jong's directly in front of me. As I'm turning, for example, with like a bong dai, my focus is like this. So even though I'm turning, the power plane is staying connected to, or the center line or power plane, call it what you want, is going to the muk. Right? And then even as I step around it, it stays inside. So everything stays in the muk the whole time. So it's just really about your point of focus, because you still do use that type of pivot in chum cue. For example, at the end, you still have that focus here as you turn. So it's just about point of focus. And if you think about this in practical application, and if you want to practice it in daily life, pick a person and stay focused on their center. It's a fun game to play when you're sitting at cafes, right? You give people the gift of your spiritual intention, and you just watch people walk past and you just connect to all their centers, you know? So firstly, there's a skill development there because you're practicing the power plane, which is what you want to manifest in your chi sao in a very relaxed, easy way. Thirdly, you're blessing with the gift of whatever vibrational intention you have. Oh, I'm going to send a little peace to that bloke and that lady. For some reason, for guys, it always ends up being girls that they're sending their intention.
Some of them do that automatically, don't they?
No need to do it consciously.
But that's nature though, isn't it? That's just natural.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely a bit less conscious of, okay, I'm going to align with my spiritual intention and allow that to flow through my center to their center. It's a bit more one-centered, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
and unconscious. Yeah.
Sometimes us ladies go, ew.
Eee, brother, eee.
You also go, hey, look at
Respect.
Yeah.
Nobody here.
Funny.
Oh gosh, yeah. Gonna be a lot of churchy stuff this weekend, isn't it? Okay. I'll be sitting there like, okay. Okay, I'll practice that. I'll do my video this weekend and yeah, get that sorted.
Awesome. Oh, okay, yeah, so you're going to get started with the 75. Awesome.
Yeah, I've been waiting for a nice sunny day to go down the beach, but we've had like 2 days spring, 1 day winter, then spring, then it goes into it. So I'm like, just do it. Just do it this weekend.
Just get it done. Nice.
Do it at home.
Just a reminder once again for everyone, we will be having the Easter holidays off, but you'll be getting those sessions credited. So you'll still, meaning you'll get the points for those
Easter bunny
sessions.
points.
You'll get the points for participating. Everyone who's doing the challenge and started will get the points for all of those sessions, so it keeps everyone on a level playing field. Meaning, if someone starts the 75-day challenge later, and they, and they don't have public holidays, you'd be at a loss if you didn't get points on those on the Friday, Monday. So to make sure that there's no disadvantage there.
Will you update the schedule as far as that? Or?
Yeah, I'll update
Yeah.
it
2
today.
days?
I'll update it today. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You guys get 2 days for Easter?
No, we get 4, so it's Friday,
Are
Saturday,
you
Sunday, Monday.
kidding me?
Well,
We
it's
get
it's
4.
over the weekend, so it's Friday,
Yeah,
Saturday,
that's
Sunday,
the
Monday.
weekend.
Isn't it the same for you guys? Don't you have Good Friday and Easter Monday?
Nah, we
Yeah.
don't even get Easter off, man. We're Americans. We work every day.
It's not a public. It's not a public holiday.
You know, Scotland didn't
Easter.
love that.
No, it's not.
Oh, really?
Easter Sunday. Yeah. We don't
I was
get
born-
Friday day off.
We get Friday and Monday.
Yeah.
No,
Lucky
when
duckies.
I moved, sorry, when I moved up to Scotland, this is like 12 years ago, and the clinic I was working for said, "What do you want to do about Easter?" And I just looked at them. I was like, "What are you talking about? It's Easter." And they were like, "Oh, you're English. You take Easter off." Yeah, but all the other doctors worked, all the chiros, yeah? I was like, right, going to see my family, do church, temple, yeah, do my stuff. And they were knackered when I got back, and I was refreshed.
Spiritually revived.
I didn't understand. The only thing, they love the New Year holiday and maybe Christmas, yeah, Christmas as well. But otherwise...
Alrighty, do we have any
But it's
final
cool.
questions before we finish up today, team?
So that means, sorry, I'm just trying to figure it out in my brain here. So as of Thursday in the United States, we're off. Thursday through Sunday.
Yes.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So yeah, I'm going to take off the Friday and Mondays.
Just pick the calendar.
I'll
Okay.
yeah, I'm going to crack it off the calendar today.
Yeah, you're correct, TJ. Got to remember we're a day behind.
We're in the future.
That's right. You guys are in the future.
6 thumbs up, y'all. Thank you.
All right, guys, much love. Peace. See you in the next session. Thanks for joining us, YouTube. Do you guys have any quick questions before we close out for today? How many lines of Coke before the live? Fucking hell. People are stupid, eh? All right, guys, much love. Thank you for joining us. See you on our next session.